I think that we can all agree here that the current state of Star Wars is in a very delicate position. We know that the Ahsoka Tano series is a make or break scenario, not just for Lucasfilm, but also for Disney and, of course, how the Star Wars fandom perceives everything moving onwards with these upcoming shows throughout the rest of this year, leading into 2024, as well as, of course, all the other movies that are still set for a release by Disney, which I believe are eventually not going to happen. That's just my take on things. But let's get into exactly what Bob Iger had to say about Lucasfilm specifically. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject here about what is going on with the current state of Lucasfilm. Now, we already know that over the years, all combined, Lucasfilm has lost hundreds of millions of dollars, more like $1 billion if you really want to combine everything together, and mixing everything between Disney Plus subscription losses from the Kenobi show, from Boba Fett, from Mando Season 3, as well as what happened with the Solo Star Wars story film losing so much money, as well as, let's not forget about Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny. That brings us to the bigger scenario here about what's going on with Bob Iger and what he was able to say about the biggest question of all, whether or not Disney would ever sell Lucasfilm and exactly what's going on with that. Now look, we know that Bob Iger is beginning to question himself about selling off specific aspects of Disney. We're talking about, different streaming models out there. That is something that he has been looking into with the Disney board. We'll talk about that a little bit later next week, so stay tuned about that. But what's interesting about this, alright, has a lot to do with Iger, and given that Disney is, of course, continuing to make poor choices for everything Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney in general, one recent development involving Bob Iger is the fact that he was questioned about the current state of Lucasfilm and the possibility of selling that to someone else if Star Wars continues to have difficulties moving onwards. Iger delivered the following: "Well, I would be lying if we did not recognize a slope with fan engagement levels for Star Wars, especially on our Disney Plus platform, and reception based on our latest movie announcements we made at Celebration. And sure, it's something that we tend to bring up as a contingency plan in our business model if it were to fail on a streaming platform. We have held no serious conversations related to selling Lucasfilm to a different entity or business, however, as we feel Star Wars is only going to succeed past our expectations throughout the remainder of this year, leading us into the next and beyond. But we haven't had serious conversations about anything like that. We have great upcoming shows that are going to be very diverse, such as the Acolyte series that we feel will gravitate toward all cultures and groups around the globe, that will make Star Wars acceptable and relatable to a wider audience." Now, let me stop here for one moment about what Bob Iger is saying about the Acolyte. Again, guys, this is why I feel the Acolyte is going to be a major failure and a laughingstock at Star Wars. Now, we know that the Acolyte, it's all about diversity, it's all about equality this and equality that. Leslie Headland was very upfront about that, not just at Celebration, but she was also upfront about this when she was being questioned about the series on and off throughout the past 2 years, is that it's not about honoring George Lucas's philosophy. This is about attracting new fans and building Star Wars from the ground up and doing something completely new that's going to change your perspective of the prequel trilogy lore. That's what worries a lot of fans that are really much into the expanded universe, that are very much into the canon material that George approved throughout the years. And I think at the end of the day, Bob Iger, without a doubt, is lying to a certain degree here. Now, do I think that they have had conversations about selling Lucasfilm? That's really a big mystery. I really can't comment on that because we haven't really heard much about that. But what's interesting about Bob Iger, though, is that he is definitely creating a mask here that Star Wars is succeeding beyond expectations. Well, if they were succeeding beyond expectations, why are they canceling movie after movie, show after show, delay after delay, unrelated, by the way, to the WGA strike and everything happening with SAG? And not just that, ratings are going down, people having an interest in Star Wars are going down, and Ahsoka, like I said in the beginning of this post, it's a make or break show. There's no doubt about this. Now, we know that first impressions are coming in because of the 2-episode premiere that happened just recently, yesterday, and how a lot of people are, kind of giving their overall opinions on that. Maybe we'll cover those opinions later on, or maybe even, of course, over the weekend. But what's interesting about this, alright, he goes on to continue to elaborate by stating the following. Our goal right now at Star Wars is just to do the best that we can. That sounds like that they're being challenged. To please our customers and to also attract new fans. I would suggest that nobody should buy into the trades, suggesting that our Star Wars brand is failing or not meeting financial expectations as we feel. We will keep Lucasfilm as a great source of content and material for Star Wars for the years to come. We don't see any majority of fans rejecting our content, nor do we buy into that. We firmly believe that it's just a disgruntled minority that we try to filter out for our creators to not cater to. We don't see a scenario, at least within the next year or two, or any possibility of selling Lucasfilm at this point. We believe Kathleen Kennedy is leading the way with the Acolyte for 24 to revolutionize Star Wars. Again, it sounds like he is rooting for Kathleen Kennedy with the Acolyte, not a shocker there. And look, we know that the Acolyte is going to be an extra woke show. We've talked about this multiple times. And I can't stress this enough. Leslie Headland has said this before in a podcast back in 2019 that got leaked out there, where she's like, if you believe George Lucas is the key to Star Wars and you're only expecting him in the room to be the answer to Star Wars, then you're a misogynist. That's the misogyny. That's the problem. That's her words there. And that alone, even though it's a short sentence, just goes to show you exactly who she really is. Let's also not forget about who she was a personal assistant for. I mean, I think that's a bigger, eye-opener right there. I think that we all know how, of course, Lucasfilm does not care about Mr. Harvey being connected to Leslie Headland, which is quite an embarrassment. But overall, guys, I mean, there's a lot of problems going on at Disney. I think that Bob Iger most definitely is lying to certain levels here. They may have not had conversations about selling Lucasfilm, but they may have also most definitely had conversations about Star Wars really taking a big hit. Hence why we've been talking about this Lucasfilm purge that is ongoing and that's going to be progressive over the next 2 years. This involves the firing of many employees, as well as axing multiple projects. And you're going to get more updates on that throughout the later portion of this year. We'll talk about that as we go through with that. Everything happening with Singapore right now, with Lucasfilm and ILM, that's just the beginning. And we kind of hinted about that a couple of weeks ago. So it's just starting. That was like the starting point of this whole 2-year journey of Disney embracing this Lucasfilm purge, if you will. So overall, guys, I would really like to hear what you guys have to say about this entire scenario below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.